What's up, trainers? It is your boy ADRIZZY here, back again with another tabletop match. I'd like to apologize. Yet last week we did not have a tabletop match, and that is completely my fault. I did not go to the league, therefore we couldn't record a match. But today we actually have Andrew, a regular from our league. You guys always see him in the league vlogs on the right. And Brandon, a good friend of ours, a great supporter of the channel. He actually came down from San Antonio to meet with us and just hang out. We hung out the whole weekend, and it was a great time. So here we see him mulliganing. He has one mulliganing. I don't even think that's a word. He mulligans once. Andrew found a basic. I believe I saw him place down a Rowlet. Now Brandon is going to try and see if he can grab a basic. I still don't see a basic. Garbodor, Espeon, and his Lele. That rainbow rare Lele. At that. It's an expensive card. So I didn't mention, Brandon is playing Garbodor, Drampa with an Espeon line in it. Andrew on the right is actually playing Decidueye Ninetales, a deck that I believe I've played as well against Johnny on these tabletop matches. So we have a Lele against a Rowlet. Brandon chooses to go first. He is Ultra Balling away. Floatstone, that's interesting. Usually he wants that Floatstone on the Garbotoxin Garbodor, which is also in his hand. He discards the Espeon along with that Floatstone. Just checking his deck real quick. One thing you may have noticed, I've also sped up the game for about 25%. I wanted to try this as opposed to cutting, cut, edit. I'm just gonna let it run through. Speeding it up kind of helps with the shuffling process. Let me know what you guys think in the comment if you like this better, or if you just want me to cut out completely the shuffling and the rest of the parts that don't really have anything to progress the game. Alright, so Brandon actually places down the Eevee that he got from the Ultra Ball with the Psychic Energy, using that Energy Evolution, finding that Espeon GX from his deck, enabling him to evolve it right away, and he plays the N, ruining the extra card that Andrew had. Alright, so they both cut or tap. They're both going to draw a fresh 6. I see a Drampa, another Rainbow Rare card in Brandon's hand. Both of these players actually maxed out their decks as much as possible. There may be a couple cards that aren't maxed out, but for the most part, they have some pretty expensive cards in these decks of theirs. So we do see him play down that Rainbow Energy that's like just blinding me with its rainbowness. Ultra Ball, discarding an Enhanced Hammer and Lysander. Wonder what he's going to grab. He's grabbing the Trubbish. Now, he can go two ways with this Trubbish. The Garbodor, shutting down abilities, that Garbotoxin ability, shutting down those Feather Arrows, or he could probably go and see what Andrew's going to play on this next turn. If he plays a lot of items, he may go for the Trashalanche. So we see Andrew play down a Tapu Koko and a Rowlet, discarding Decidueye and DCE. Wonder what he's going to search for. He's just checking his deck, but he grabs a Shaman. That Tapu Koko does have a DCE, and I love its attack. It does 20 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. That usually helps out a couple of those and some Feather Arrows, and you're taking multiple knockouts within the same turn. Plays Shaman, set up for 5. What a good start. Let's see if we can pull something. I see the Forest of Giant Plants. He has an Alolan Vulpix. Places it down, plays the Forest of Giant Plants, and he ends. Wants a fresh new hand. Hopefully he can retreat this Rowlet, start attacking with Tapu Koko, and get at least one Decidueye out. I believe that's his plan. Brandon is just waiting to see how many items he's going to play. Once those items rack up, Brandon is going to be able to take multiple knockouts with that Garbodor with the Trashalanche attack. Both players draw a fresh new hand. Brandon got a Choice Band, an Energy. Couldn't quite see what Andrew got. I was too busy looking at Brandon's hand. So he does get that Decidueye. Turn 1. Plays a Trainer's Mail. What's he going to grab? An Ultra Ball, I believe. Checking his hand. So he is playing items, but he's able to set up. So it could go either way right now. Yep, plays that Ultra Ball. What are you going to discard? And there's no need for him to shuffle, just simply because he's going to go back in. That's always a useful shortcut. It allows for you to play a little quicker, especially at tournaments that are best of 3. Grabs another Shaman, so he is digging maybe for that Floatstone and another Decidueye. I'm not sure if he has a Dartrix in his hand or not, or maybe he's looking for a Dartrix because he has a Decidueye in his hand. And he set up for 5. 5 more cards. Oh, I think I saw the float. Not sure what that was. So we see a level ball. He's going to find that Dartrix. Most likely, unless he wants it. And yeah, it's Dartrix, because he can't place anything else down. his whole bench is full. Andrew is making some really good plays right now, knowing that his ability might get shut off, so he's playing as quick as possible, hopefully trying to get those feather arrows before they get locked out. He does have a field blower, I believe. The last card in his hand on his right side is a field blower, so Brandon might not see that coming, may place down the Garbotoxin right away, and we see a Trash Lanch instead. Okay, he plays a Trash Lanch, ask how many items. I'm counting 4 right now, so he's doing 80. That Lele needs to be taken out of the active before he can start attacking though. And we did see that he feather arrowed the benched Espeon GX. Places down another Eevee, and he Sycamores. Fresh new hand. Both of these players are actually playing very quickly. Not just because they're sped up, but they're playing very quickly. Very aggressive is what I'm saying. So Brandon brings up the benched Espeon GX. He has enough energy to use the Psybeam attack, does 30 damage. With the Choice Band does another 30, that's 60. But before that, he actually places a Parallel City. Although it might have helped Andrew in the end, because Andrew does run 4 stadiums. He may be able to counter it, and it gets rid of his liability Shaymins. And he has that Field Blower in hand, so he could just remove it right away and then attach it more, or not attach, I'm sorry, place down more bench Pokemon. We see Trainer's Mail. He's going to grab another Choice Band. Now, I wonder if Brandon's going to play it down, not knowing that Andrew does have that Field Blower in his hand. It's always tricky. I always suggest only attaching when you absolutely have to, or right before you're about to attack, to ensure you do get that extra 30 damage. Not because you shouldn't place it just because it's in your hand. It might get Field Blowered away. So let's see if he plays it. And he does. He does play it on the bench Trubbish, and he's just thinking, seeing what his next move is, and he does attack for 60. And Decidueye should be confused. Yep, sure enough. 16 confused. I'm telling you, it's a nasty attack, especially with that Choice Band. That 60 is definitely going to add up. So now Andrew, I believe he drew for turn. He is going to Field Blower. Okay, what's he going to choose? So he does both tools. He doesn't mind having that parallel out, simply because he can always counter it with another stadium. Not sure if he has one in his hand. We see the energy go down onto the bench Dartrix, and he Sycamores away a Lysander and a Alolan Vulpix and another card I didn't quite get to see. We see another Trainer's Mail. Ooh, okay, so we got the second Decidueye out. Now he's doing 40 damage anywhere on Brandon's board. And we see a Trainer's Mail. We see that Forest. He might grab that or an Ultra Ball, depending on what he needs to do. He might grab that Alolan Ninetales, and that's the only other Pokemon that can evolve since Parallel City's out. Excuse me. So we might play Ultra Ball. He's just grabbing it. That's why he's placing it on top of his hand, letting his opponent know that he's grabbing that, not necessarily playing it. Now I didn't see if he does have that Forest in his hand too. Okay, so he attaches the Float Stone, and he's going to retreat. So now it's no longer confused. Okay, so now we have the Tapu Koko doing 20 damage to each of Brandon's Pokemon. And he does Feather Arrow, 1 to the active, and 1 to that benched Garbodor with the energy, ready to attack. And he attacks with Tapu Koko. So now it's Brandon's turn. This game is actually really exciting. He is doing damage. Now, damage calculations, I should say. He does have that GX attack from Espeon that does 10 damage counters anywhere on your opponent's board. He does attach the DC, so I'm not sure if that's what he's going to try and go for. Let's see. He might be asking so how many items in his hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. I counted 7. So right now he is doing 140 damage if he chooses to attack with Garb. Just doing some more calculations. He could do 60, which does another 30 for each energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So it would be doing 120. He's Sycamored, getting a fresh new hand. So he is digging. I'm sorry, not Enhanced Hammer, just Crushing Hammer. Let's see if the Flip Gods are with him. Nope. Tails. You could see him snap out of disappointment. It was a quick snap. Trainer's Mail. So I wonder what he's searching for. I wonder if he plays a DCE. So he's going to grab Bridget. That's interesting. He has no more bench space. Maybe he's just using it to kind of thin out his deck, making sure he doesn't draw into it again. I see that Hex Maniac. That Hex Maniac could be crucial, especially since Feather Arrows are just attacking anywhere Andrew wants, and he already has those 20 damage all around. So he does knock out the Coco. Now, the Decidueye with the damage is up, but he can always retreat if he needs to with that Floatstone attached. I see an N. Yep, and he plays the N. So both players are going to shuffle. Brandon's only going to draw 5, while Andrew is grabbing 6. I do like this play. He knew that Brandon grabbed that Bridget, but he chooses to play N anyway, so he could probably draw into it again, just becoming a nuisance card that he really doesn't need right now. So let's see. I see another Rowlet for Andrew. A Decidueye. I'm not sure if I see yep, there goes a full art Alolan Ninetales. That Alolan Ninetales, it is disgusting. Simply with its first attack, it does 50 damage to any Pokemon on your opponent's side. And its GX, you transfer all damage counters from Alolan Ninetales onto your opponent's active Pokemon. So we see the Feather Arrow to the Garbodor. Now Andrew wants nothing to do with that. He's counting his items. He's going to try and knock out this Garbodor as well because that's his biggest threat right now. That Drampa, though, is also getting help because its bench Pokemon have damage counters. So its second attack can hit for 180, I believe, with a Choice Band. So here we see Andrew counting all the items, debating what to do next. He doesn't want to play any more items because that garbage is just going to be knocking out Pokemon left and right. And he chooses to do nothing. He passes. He has no energy to attack. There is a grass energy on that benched Decidueye, though. So here we see what I was talking about. Brandon plays the DCE onto that bench Drampa GX. Debating on what to do. He can still hit for 60 or 60 either way. No, actually 30 with Psybeam or 60 with its second attack. And he chooses to do that. Andrew plays the Forest of Giant Plants. And he's debating. You see that? He's debating to play that level ball simply because it adds another item to the discard. But he chooses to. He thinks it's worth it. Evolves right away into Dartrix, and I believe he has that Decidueye in his hand. So now he's doing 60 damage before attacking. Now he does play that third Decidueye down. He's doing 60 damage in Feather Arrows if he wants to. I do see that Trainer's Mail. Now he does 40 damage, so 2 Feather Arrows onto that benched Garb, knocking it out. Andrew takes 1 prize, and now there is some confusion. I decided to leave this here. They called Johnny over. Brandon thought that Andrew was done with his turn. He still has 1 Feather Arrow left. He didn't say pass, so he drew the extra card. Johnny told him to just leave the card at the top of the deck, and he let Andrew decide whether he wanted him to shuffle it or not. Andrew just said just leave it there. So here you see Johnny actually doing a judge's work. I wouldn't know what to call there, so Johnny decided to let Andrew decide, and he actually chooses to do 20 damage to the Espeon GX, and he Hollow Hunted, grabbing a DCE. Let's see, that's a Rescue Stretcher. And what else, Andrew? A Lysander, okay. A Lysander, DCE, and a Rescue Stretcher. Brandon drew for turn. He's attaching that third energy that Drampa needs to be doing big damage. Attaches the Psychic Energy. And he plays the Veracity Seeker that he actually topped, that he was going to draw regardless, since Andrew didn't end him. And he decides to play N anyway. So both players are going to play N. Andrew is down to 5. Well, actually, both players are at 5 prizes, so it's a pretty close game. Still not sure where it's going to go. This is my first time watching it alongside with you guys, since I haven't cut anything out. Usually I watch it once and cut everything that needs to be cut, but I'm watching it with you guys, so... Andrew places the Choice Band and the Garbotoxin. So now... Oh, and the Field Blower. So he takes out the Stadium and the Floatstone attached to the Decidueye, and he has abilities locked, so no more Feather Arrows. Right now, Andrew is in a tough spot unless he can find a Field Blower. Not sure how many runs in his deck. And he is doing... Let's see. Okay, so he's going to retreat. Removing the DCE. I'm sorry, not Decidueye. And he attacks... doing 120 damage. 150, yep, 150, because I said you could do 180 with a Choice Band. That's still nothing to laugh at, 150 damage. Now, Ooh, Andrew, not sure if that was off the end or the top deck. He decides to play down a field blower, removing that tool item attached to the Garbotoxin Garbodor, allowing abilities again. He has a Lysander. Let's see what he's going to go for. He might go for that. Yep, that's the same play I would have done because of that heavy retreat cost. Not sure how many tools or floatstones Brandon has in his discard, but he's doing damage to the EV, taking another prize card. You guys can see how brutal these Featherers are, especially when that Tapu Koko set up a bunch of damage all around. And he does, let's see, I believe that was 2 Feather Arrows onto the benched Espeon. So now it's at 80. And let's see what else he's going to do. There's not much else he can do unless he... Okay, so it was Brandon's turn. I'm sorry, I missed that. So he plays Skyla. He attached the DCE onto Espeon. Plays Skyla. Finds the Floatstone once again. Wow, that is a great play. Locking out abilities again. I do not think... I'd be surprised if Andrew plays 3 Field Blowers. So he retreats and he attacks for the knockout, taking 2 prizes. Wow, what a play. That was a great play. So he brings up the Decidueye with 1 energy. If he can attach a DCE, he's attacking for 90. Checking his discard, seeing what's left. I know he's played 2 Field Blowers. Brandon also chooses to look at it. He might be counting the items. There's 1. Oh, he's counting the Field Blowers. Yep. So he's been playing 2. I see a Ultra Ball, Sycamore, and an N. Wonder what he's going to play. Sycamore. Yep, Sycamore. Trying to grab a fresh new hand. He might have that 3rd Field Blower, guys. I'm not sure this deck list he runs. I'd be interested. I'd be interested to see. So we see the DCE. He might attach an attack for 90. And he does. He does attach the DCE. He's doing 90. But that Drampa GX's first attack, Righteous Edge, discards a special energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. So it is just a pesky attack. If you cannot knock out Drampa, it is going to come back and hit you harder. So we see Brandon draw for turn. Couldn't quite see what he grabbed. Okay, so now he is parallel sitting himself. And that means Andrew is now doing 20 damage less for all his water and grass energy. We do see that Espeon. I must have missed that Espeon EX on Andrew's side of the field. If he can bring it up with an energy, he can devolve all of Brandon's Pokemon and possibly take out some KOs if the unevolved Pokemon has enough damage counters on it. Brandon did play a Rescue Stretcher. He's choosing to shuffle 3 Pokemon from his discard pile into his deck. So we do see 2 Trebushes and 1 Garb. He wants to start attacking with that Garb because Andrew has enough items in his discard to where he can start one-shotting. Brandon's deck is running low though, so he must have a way to get it out, get what he needs out, and he's going to play, yep, Sycamore. He's going to play Sycamore. He can't play that Shaman because he paralleled City himself, but he does get that Sycamore, and I saw that Trubbish and Garbodor in his hand, so he's ready to go, and he has a Psychic Energy. It is not looking good for Andrew right now, simply because of the ability lock. There was my little caster accent. Not accent, but they do have a very exciting way of speaking. I'm going to try and implement that once in a while, keep you guys awake so you guys don't fall asleep to the sound of my voice. I've been told it's very boring. So here we're counting, okay, the energies. So he's just letting Andrew know, like, hey, I know how many energies you have. I know you used your Hollow Hunt already, so he might just start trying to discard all the DCEs, allowing himself to be able to attack without anything to worry about. So is he going to Berserk once more, removing that DCE? Just looking at his hand, deciding what the right play is. This is crucial though. These players take a while simply because you mess up once, it could cost you the game. Always be careful when making important decisions, guys. So we do see a Psychic Energy attached to that Tapu Lele, and we have... He is deciding. I think he's about to attack. Yep, he does. Berserk, doing 150 damage. So he chooses not to do Righteous Edge, removing that DCE. He doesn't think he can get knocked out anytime soon. Now we do see Andrew playing the Trainer's Mail. Oh, and he grabs the Force of Giant Plant. So he didn't even check at the last couple of cards. This is the card he wanted. He grabbed it. possibly playing it down, removing that -20 resistance or, you know, attack damage block from the Parallel City. So he plays it. He does have a Lysander. So you can grab something, maybe that Garbotoxin, knocking it out, allowing the Feather Arrows to come back, but that leaves his Decidueye up for a knockout because Brandon can just bring up the Drampa GX and attack it. So here he is deciding what the right move is. Okay, so he attaches the Grass Energy onto the bench Decidueye. It has 120 damage. Choice Band Lysander for the Espeon, and he takes the 2 prizes. So now he's down to 2, while Brandon is actually at 3. He promotes the benched Garbodor. He can retreat for free with that Float Stone. This is going to be interesting to see what he plays, because even if he knocks out this Decidueye GX, if Andrew has a DCE, he has a chance to do another 90. And he actually, I realized he did not play that Forest, so he's probably keeping it just in case to add that extra 20 when he needs it. And it doesn't get field blowered away. Not sure exactly what Brandon has in his deck. We're actually getting a little glimpse of it right now. He Ultra Balled, grabbing that Garbodor. I'm not sure if that's the last one he has, but that's going to do some damage. It's going to one-shot anything that Andrew has on his board. So he puts it in his hand. He can't play it yet because he did get that Parallel. That's actually a very smart move from Andrew, not allowing him to bench any more Pokemon. So here we see the retreat into Drampa, takes the knockout, but Andrew responds right away, not even drawing his card, plays down the Forest, DCE, knocking out that Drampa GX for the win, taking his last 2 prizes. Brandon was down to 1. If this game went one more turn, I believe Brandon would have won, but Andrew just played it amazing. Both players actually did very well, a lot better than what I would do. I mean, you saw me and Johnny play. I was making misplays left and right. I just crack under pressure, under the camera, under the spotlight. I'm just joking, guys. It's ADRIZZY. I never misplay. Just kidding, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you enjoyed this more, the sped up version. You know, you guys see the shuffling, see the interactions. It allows me to talk over as I'm seeing them think. Go ace on that like button. Subscribe if this is your first time here. We have tabletop matches every Saturday from now on, I hope. And remember, guys, train on.